Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Stampin' with Samantha. Today I'm going to be teaching you a watercolour technique. It's called the Bokeh technique. You may have heard that used in photography terms. So basically it looks like the sort of light is in and out of focus on the sort of picture. So we're going to create that technique in a card front today. I'd actually made this as one of my swaps for a meet that we had this weekend with the girls that are in my Stampin' Up team, and they had asked obviously how I had made it, so I thought, well, I'd make a video and show you all how I'd done it. So here's the card here. It's just this sort of thank you card here. So you can see obviously the watercolour makes it look as if it's the sort of light particles are in focus there. So to make this card, you're going to need our watercolour paper. It comes in a pack like this sort of size. And basically all you're going to do is just cut it in half. So it basically measures 4.5 inches across the way. Yeah, so there we go. So what you're going to do is tape it down. Now I'm just using some of our washi tape that was in the new catalogue, so just tape it down. This stops the water sort of running everywhere, all over your card, all over your paper, your desk and everything else, so I'll just tape this down quickly. There we go, so that's that all taped down then. Now what you'll also then need is one of our aqua painters. So these come in packs of 2. You get one that has a large bristled sort of head, and the other one has a smaller one, so this is the larger head. So basically you just fill this part with water, and then it goes into the funnel sort of part here, and then make sure that the brush tip, as you can see, is always wet. So basically all you're wanting to do is, and in fact what I'll do is I'll show you the colours first and get them all ready. Because you want to sort of move pretty quickly once you start obviously doing the watercolour technique. So what I've got Daffodil Delight, Melon Mambo and Pumpkin Pie. So those are my 3 colours that I'm going to use. So what I do is you just sort of squeeze the pad, and that then means that there's a pool of ink sits in the top here. Just put that there. Do that with all 3. One a bit more. Cool. There we go, so I've got my 3 colours here, and all I'm going to do is just put a couple of drops of water out of the aqua painter in each. There we are. And then all I'm going to do is just brush over the watercolour paper and just get the card of the paper really, really wet. There we go. So to start off with, what I'm going to do is just mix up the water with the ink, and then just start dabbing all over the card with the yellow ink, the Daffodil Delight. Cool. And then I'll move on to the Pumpkin Pie. And then what I'm going to do is just go sort of in the spaces left with the Daffodil Delight. And then finally with the Melon Mambo, just sort of fill in white space that's left in the card, and you'll start to see that the colours will actually start to then blend together just as the water and the ink start to run. And basically the sort of key to this is not to leave any white space at all. Just go back in, just fill in any gaps. Here we go. So basically what I just like to do, just to sort of finish off, you might see the water sort of pulling at the side of the card, is just to draw it up, just to make sure that the ink colours do all sort of blend together. That's actually looking a bit orange, so I'll just add in a bit more pink. There we go, and when you're happy with how it looks, I like to just use a kitchen roll or paper towel just to sort of soak off any excess ink that's on the brush tip of the aqua painter, just until that runs clear. There we go, and then that can get this lid put back on. Now if you see maybe around sort of this edge here, you can see the ink just starting to pull ever so slightly. If you don't want that much ink, you can just touch it ever so slightly with the kitchen roll, and that then just takes off the excess moisture. Or what you can do is use your heat tool, and that'll do the same, and just obviously dry the card front that way. So let me just put these inks away. Okay, now I'm just going to use my heat tool just to speed the process a little bit. Then to get the sort of circles, as you can see on the sort of sample card, sorry about the lighting in here today, it is quite dark outside, and I've had to switch on the sort of side lights. To make the circles for the sort of white light particles, I just took a piece of scrap vellum. Now obviously we carry vellum in the catalogue, but I just had some sort of older vellum that was out at the celebration period left over, and I just cut out the circles. So you can either use the layering framelits that we have, or any punches that you've got. Just punch out a couple of sort of different sized circles, and then basically just sort of layer them on top, and then use either craft ink. I've still got some of the stays on still left over, so I'm just using that. And then you basically want to take a sponge dauber or one of our sort of foam circles. Basically just load up your sponge, and then just dab white ink onto the card and circles. It doesn't matter, you know, where obviously you position the circles or what you want them to look like. It's just obviously where you think they look good. And now what I will say is when the background starts to sort of dry, what it does sort of fade obviously to the more sort of lighter colour. Same with the white ink as well. When that starts to dry, it will, you know, sort of die down in the colour. There we go, put that last one in there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to let these just dry a bit, and then I'm going to come back in and start doing a second layer, so I'll come back to you once that's a bit dry. There we go, so that's that first layer of ink now totally dry. So as you can see, it has dyed right down, so it's not as intense a white sort of colour as what the ink does when it first goes on. Now what I then like to actually go in and do is maybe just overlap some of the sort of circles, and basically just go in with the second coat, so it means that part of it is darker than the rest. Like so. So you can see obviously this part here is darker, and again it sort of gives that illusion that the sort of image is 3D. Just do one more just here. Now you could obviously do this with acetate if you don't have any vellum left at all. It's just I had some of this leftover vellum that's retired, so I just thought, well, I'll use that rather than cutting holes in my new packet of acetate. There we go, so there's like that. Move that out the way, get this ink closed up. Like so. And then the sentiment that I'm using is from the Thankful Thoughts stamp set, so I'm just going to be using this one here. What I'll do is stamp that down. Just using some black StazOn. I use the StazOn just in case anything, because obviously it's still a bit wet. It just makes sure that the colours obviously don't run anywhere and the ink doesn't smudge. There we go. And then all you need to do is then just lift up the tape. Well, that says try and obviously lift the washi tape up when the ink and the paper is actually fully dry. Just you don't want it tearing obviously the image that you've just created. The great thing with washi tape, it is really low tax, so it peels off really easy. So get rid of that. And then all we need to do is then just trim this down, obviously, to just get rid of the white edges that we've got. Here we go, so that's that all trimmed down. So obviously just cut it to whatever size for the card front that you're looking to use. And then I've got in here a piece of Melon Mambo cardstock, and this is 5 3/4 by 4 inches. So I just cut this down 1/4 of an inch smaller than the actual card front itself. Now what I find is that because the watercolour paper has a bit of texture to it, and it's obviously sort of warped a wee bit with the obviously using so much water on it, I generally find that it's better to put your adhesive on the card front itself rather than on the topper, just that it finds that it sort of straightens it out a wee bit. So I'll just use some fast fuse, just put a couple of strips down the front, and then what I find is to just line up the sort of corners. Make sure everything sort of matches up okay, and then what I do is I turn it over and smooth it down on the back, and that's, as I say, just straightens out the sort of card front, and make sure then your card doesn't obviously warp with the image as well. Now if you want to, you can add obviously a bit of sparkle like I done in the other card here. I used just a bit of wing Castella on some of the sort of sparkles, sorry, some of the circles, just to obviously give it a bit of sparkle. So all you do is just give it a good shake, and then also just follow the lines, some of the circles. Just to outline them and just give them that bit of sparkle. Go. So that when the light catches it, you can see they really sparkle. So there we have it. One Bokeh technique card just for you guys. Thanks very much for watching. See you soon. Bye.